I've been using the Logitech MK220 mouse and keyboard combo for about a week now, and here are my thoughts. Spoiler alert, I think it's an unusual product. First things first, what's in the box? Well, you get the keyboard, the mouse, 2 AAA batteries, and 2 AA batteries. It's a lot of batteries, and a big ass USB receiver. Okay, the elephant in the room, the USB receiver. It's big. It's bigger than a modern day flash drive or thumb drive or whatever you call it. Here's what it looks like alongside a normal nano-sized Logitech USB receiver, both the standard and unifying variants. It's huge, definitely not something I'd want sticking out on a laptop. Also, it's not a unifying receiver and the mouse and keyboard aren't unifying ready. Speaking of huge things, this combo is huge in batteries. Usually you just get one for keyboard and one for mouse, but this combo has 4. Speaking of mouse, there's not much to say about it really. First, it's an ambidextrous design. As such, it doesn't have contours or curves that make it more comfortable to grip and use. It has an all-plastic build, so it definitely feels plasticky. It is actually pretty light without the batteries, but if you put on the batteries, boy, it is chunky. Despite not having curves, the mouse is actually pretty comfy to use, and I like that it's full size. Most of Logitech's mouse in this price range tend to be compact size. The buttons click fine, not too hard, not too soft. The clicks sound standard, not very noisy. The glide is actually decent. Pointer accuracy is also decent with its optical tracking. I'm not sure about the DPI or the accuracy because there's no information on their technical specifications sheet. I'm using a SteelSeries QCK mousepad by the way, so that might be helping a little on the glide and tracking. The scroll wheel is plastic, but it works fine. I haven't experienced scroll skipping, so that's good. Speaking of skipping, the connection was actually kind of funky and skippy the first time I used it. But that got fixed when I repositioned my laptop, which was on the line of sight between the desktop PC that I'm using and the mouse and keyboard on my desk. So when I moved away the laptop and the stand for the mouse and keyboard to have a straight line of sight towards the receiver plugged on the PC, then the connection was fixed. Like it was rock solid moving forward. I think the only thing about this mouse really is it's higher than usual weight because it has 2 AA batteries, and also its weight distribution is more towards the rear end because if you look at the batteries here, it's positioned more towards the end. But for everyday school, office, productivity tasks, I don't think the weight will strain your hand at all. In my experience, it's only when gaming where weight really matters and you feel the strain on your hand when your mouse is heavy. Alrighty, down to the keyboard. First off, the keyboard is a Windows-only layout. It still works when connected to a Mac. I tried it, but you'll get confused with the layout because it doesn't map accordingly. Speaking of layout, I like that it has this low-profile, semi-compact layout. First, I find low-profile more comfortable than standard profile keyboard, but that's really a personal preference. I've been using laptop keyboards for the longest time, so maybe that's why my hand prefers low-profile keyboards. If you've seen my video on why I sold my Keychron K2V2 after 3 months, it's mainly the discomfort coming from the tall profile keys. But I know a lot of people who prefer standard profile keyboards because to them using low profile keyboards is just like smashing your fingertips on a flat surface. So yeah, it's really just personal preference. And yes, it has a numpad, but the width of the keyboard has been reduced and made more compact by repositioning the central group of keys such as the page up, page down, and home, insert, delete, and the arrow keys, and others. I like the concept. However, I think they made some pretty questionable decisions such as the size of the tilde key, the bar key, and the arrow keys. It's just a little bit difficult to use in my experience. When I try to reach out for the up arrow key, I end up pressing the shift, the right shift, or the down arrow key because of just how irregular the keys are. In my many years of computing experience, I've definitely had the need to use the arrow keys more than the right shift key. If I'm going to use the shift key, I usually use the left key. And I think for most people, the arrow keys are the more important one, especially for productivity stuff like navigating, browsing, navigating your document and your spreadsheet and stuff. I don't know what they should do to fix this, maybe downsizing the right shift so that the arrow keys can have full size. On the topic of layout, they also did something unusual to the row of function keys. They made it tiny, and it just might be too tiny. I thought it was neat despite being strange at first. Upon using it, I found that it requires a bit more getting used to, both because of the fact that it's smaller so it's difficult to hit, and that it requires more actuation force than the rest of the keys. It has a significant impact on the typing experience in my experience, because whenever I try to use the function key, I intentionally try to target and press harder. And that's not really the natural way of typing. When we use our keyboard, we tend to develop a muscle memory around it, and our fingertips generally apply equal force on the keys. But in this keyboard, you would have to press harder on the function keys compared to the rest of the keys. So that's a little bit strange. Oh, I almost forgot. Despite the function keys being small and all that, they actually still double as media keys, and they included pretty useful shortcuts here, such as volume, play, pause, previous, next, music player, calculator, search, and many more. Though the good thing is the keys are a little bit silent and stable. Here's a comparison between the Logitech MK220, the Logitech K375S, and MacBook Pro. The MK220 keys sound and feel packed and stable compared to the loose feeling and clicky sound of the K375S. Build quality is what you would expect from a membrane keyboard on this price range. Plenty of flex when using the stand, especially mixed with the fact that the keys have a higher than usual actuation force. When not using the stand though, flex isn't much of an issue since it has feet at the bottom to support the keyboard. And one thing about the stand, it doesn't have rubber grips on it, so the keyboard slides a bit more when using the angle stand compared to when not using it. And down to the finishing points. It's spill resistant, which is a very welcome feature. There's no caps lock and numlock lights. Instead, you get that on screen when using Logitech Options software. No physical on-off switch on the keyboard. It just automatically sleeps when not in use. Battery life, by the way, is great. It's rated at 24 months for the keyboard and 12 months for the mouse. And in my experience of using AA and AAA battery powered mouse and or keyboard from Logitech, these estimates tend to be true. And lastly, around 45 to 75% of the plastic used to manufacture these devices came from recycled plastic, which is highly appreciated. I don't think it's a bad mouse and keyboard combo, especially considering the fact that in Logitech's lineup, I think the MK220 keyboard is the only one that has this semi-compact layout. And also, Logitech's mouse options on this price range tend to be on the compact side, whereas this one comes with a full-size mouse. As I covered, there are a number of things that it does great, and it's just that it has a number of quirks as well that you should know of. And if those quirks doesn't really bother you a lot, then this combo might just do it for you. Let me know your thoughts about this affordable keyboard and mouse combo from Logitech by commenting down below. If this was helpful, hit that like button so others can easily find this video. If you loved it, subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Instagram if you want. That's it. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.